going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets right here on the Mayo Media Network. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. Chris Meaney here with you. 5 games on the ice in the NHL. If you're just new to the show, please like, review, rate, subscribe, leave a comment in the YouTube section. Maybe it's a guy that you're just having issues with on your season-long team. You don't know whether you should drop him or not. Maybe you have a question from somebody you want to pick up, or maybe it's just a bets pick tonight, your favorite pick, your favorite prop, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. I will at least take a look at the comments before puck drop tonight. 5 games, as I mentioned. Let's bring in my co-host, Eric Young, rocking a wicked jersey today. What do you got there, my friend? Is that Mario?
Yeah, Mario, captain of the Wales Conference All-Star jersey. I have a matching Gretzky, Norris, and maybe one of my favorite jerseys of all time. It's so good, man.
Can you just stand up just a little? Can we get a Wales? I need to see this. This is what, mid-90s? Oh, yeah. Oh, baby. Look at that. Not bad.
I win.
You win.
So far.
You're a big season-long guy. You played like 1,000 leagues. Hockey Soccer, you say. Who's the guy that you've been just picking up in leagues lately?
So, I mean, I don't think he's going to be available everywhere, but someone right now that you really got to go look for is Brandon Saad. I think he was probably owned here and there, but he's not owned in every league. The McKinnon injury, we don't know what it is. Saad has been shooting the lights out, and I think he could be a guy to step up and replace him and take up some of the missed time if McKinnon does miss time. And even if he doesn't, he's playing with Kadri. Kadri is on fire right now. There seems to be a real connection between those two brewing. So Brandon Saad's a guy that he's not highly owned. If you're in a competitive league or semi-competitive league, he could be out there, somebody to grab. And someone, I mean, right now, maybe turn and flip is Stastny and Lowry from Winnipeg. Look, I mean, Dubois is going to play for the Winnipeg Jets at some point this year, sooner rather than later. He's going to be, the 1A, 1B center. So one of those two guys is going to lose time, but they've been really good lately. I was looking at Yahoo, and I think Adam Lowry is the most added. So maybe you add him and flip him quickly to somebody that is just going to look at stats. I mean, I play in some leagues with people like that. They don't follow hockey. They just look and they're like, oh, Adam Lowry, he's got 4 goals and 5 assists. He must be great. Adam Lowry is going to be back on the 4th line when Dubois shows up. So I like Adam Lowry as a player, but that's somebody that you could pick up and flip right now for somebody that just is looking at numbers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, Lowry, the back of the hockey card, says good things. He's showing up and he's hit a lot of different categories. You and I play in a salary cap league over on Fantrax. Like, he's a perfect player for that, that type of setting, deeper format, deeper roster spots. But yeah, at some point, Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to come in, and then it's going to hurt guys like Stastny and Lowry. And as we get to the Jets today, they are in action against the Calgary Flames. They've a little bit of a shuffle in their top 6. They're keeping Kopp and Ehlers together. Of course, you have to. They got Scheifele on that line and Stastny with Connor and Wheeler. So a little bit of a shakeup in Winnipeg. Brandon Saad's a good call. He's got 4 goals over a 4-game point streak. He's got 7 points over that span. He's been pretty good, pretty solid. Yeah, Nate McKinnon, we don't have any word on him, but he went down last night. Unfortunately, I gave that shot prop over 3.5 is something that I will always give on Nate McKinnon, unless it's juiced up to -200 or something like that. And if it ever is, I think you can still get involved in a parlay, but unfortunately he left the game early yesterday, so we didn't get that. If you're looking for more bets, picks, we got lots here on the show, but you can head on over to ftnbets.com, use that promo code Meaney or Mayo, whatever. It's all good. Either way, you'll get yourself a discount if you want to get involved in some bets and picks. And I have a season-long waiver wire ranking article over there as well. Just, Eric, taking a look at the 4-game stream, 7 teams playing 4 games for the week, 2 teams only playing twice, the Oilers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. So a lot of just ads, who to drop, buy low, sell high. We're getting it all over the place. Before we get to tonight, there is one more player I wanted to bring up with you. Actually, a couple, touch on the Oilers last night. My goodness, McDavid and Draisaitl 6 assists, and Malkin. Right? This is a big name player that I think some people have some questions for. He doesn't look good. Doesn't look like he's interested at all. He's shown up lately. I'm saying like maybe 4 points in his past 6 games. So it's been better for him lately, but that's a player that I don't have any shares of. But if I did in a short season like this, where you're playing head to head. I mean, playoffs are going to be here before you know it, Eric, in fantasy hockey, like season long. That's a guy that maybe short leash, man. I'm giving him a couple more games before I would move on from him.
Yeah, you definitely got to think about it. Like you said, I mean, for me, the eye test, he just looks unmotivated. He does not look like the player of old. He doesn't look interested, or as interested as he's been before. I mean, he still has all the skills. He still has the size, the crazy hands, the crazy vision. That's never going to go away for a player like that. I don't think he's as fast or as quick on his feet as he used to be, but he still has that size and can get things done. But I mean, the reality is he doesn't look real concerned when he's playing, and I think it's showing up stats wise. I mean, I have him in a league. I have him in our keeper league that me and you are in together, and I had to auto draft that one. I ended up with Crosby and Malkin. I thought, man, if this was like 5 years ago, like this team would be unbelievable. But unfortunately, it's 2021. And Maddie said it earlier before we were talking. It looks like he's ready to go back to Russia, maybe. He could be droppable. And I mean, that's a crazy thing to say out loud. This is recording too, right?
Yeah, we are recording.
Can confirm we are recording.
Yes. Right. Thank you, Maddie. Glad that you're keeping us in check here. So Malkin, what I said in the article was just don't just drop him. It's tough to just let a player like that go because we know the upside is there. But if you really are looking to move on from him, maybe you hold and you just wait that big game comes and then you can sell. Like you're just selling right now is not the time to sell. That's just really what I want him to get out there is big name players who have had slow starts like this. It's not the time. You're not going to get anything. The draft capital was pretty high, really, for Malkin. So you just don't cut him. Just don't give him away.
He still has that name, right? Like, I play in a ton of leagues where guys like they follow one team, or they watch hockey if they have nothing better to do, and they play fantasy because they love fantasy sports. Evgeni Malkin is a tradable player to someone like that. Like there's somebody in your league that has no idea that he's not playing up to par and just know him as a perennial all-star, a Hart Trophy winner, a guy that kind of has always kind of gathered points and scored at will. So, I mean, they're out there. If you play in a league where people know what's going on, like you said, Chris, his value is low right now. You can't get anything for him. So hold him. He's still Evgeni Malkin. Like I believe he turns it around. I'm going to hold him in that keeper league because there's nobody in that league dumb enough to trade something good for him, and there's nothing available on the waiver wire that can replace someone like that. So I'm going to hold on to him.
In one of my chats, somebody had wrote, and does anybody want Malkin? And I initially thought that's probably the first question that the new GM in Pittsburgh will ask the other GMs around the league if anybody is interested in acquiring Evgeni Malkin. But speaking of Malkin and the Penguins, and maybe you need to get your buddy Mario Lemieux to have a pep talk with them, they are in action tonight against the New York Rangers. This is the second of two straight between these two teams. They've actually played each other 3 times. The Pens have wins in all 3 of those games. The last time they played was on Saturday. It was a 5-4 win for the Penguins. Crosby, you mentioned him. He's been fine. He had the overtime winner. He's got 4 goals and 8 points. As I mentioned, Malkin, 4 points on the season. They've all come in his last 6 games, 7 shots on goal in his past 3. That second line looks like this now. Malkin, Jason Zucker, and Kasperi Kapanen. Kapanen's been showing up. Zucker finally had a nice game his last time out. I wrote up all 3 of these guys on Saturday. They hit the score sheet. They just didn't do a whole lot. And we'll get to DK picks in just a little bit, but all 3 of these guys are certainly cheap. And I don't think anybody is thinking about playing Malkin. If you are playing multiple lineups, like now is the time. Well, everybody seems to be out in this guy. But looking at DraftKings Sportsbook as we bring up this matchup, Rangers and Penguins, -109, Rangers at home, -112 for the Pens. Rangers 5-3 against the spread. Pens 1-8. So the total's at 6.5. Just taking a look at Pittsburgh, they played to the over in 6 of their 8 games so far this season. The only 2 that they didn't was just against a tight Boston team that's just solid 5-5. We'll get to them in a little bit. Do you have a feel on this game?
You were saying before we jumped on, all these games today, I mean, almost most of the year. I mean, the only thing I think I was really sure about was Ottawa playing for the Stanley Cup, and that's, boys, Oh man, that does not look like a good bet on my
I got to
part.
play the Oilers a bunch more times yet this season too. Like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
yeah.
McDavid was plus 415 for a 3-point night last night. We hit that over at FTN.
I mean, as a more experienced gambler, Chris, is this the point where I double down? Do I put $40 on them to win?
They might just take him off the board, man. By
Holy
tomorrow.
jeez. I've been talking to my buddy, a guy I play hockey with. We drove back from a roller tournament that we were in last week, and the whole ride back, I'm trying to convince him. I'm saying, like, this is definitely, a possibility. And like the whole way back, and every game they lose, he sends me a screen capture of the score and be like, probably next game is when they turn it around. So I'm eating crow on both ends. So, but yeah, the New York Pittsburgh game, man, it's so crazy. I think if Pittsburgh can get a stop, what did you say? 6.5 is.
Yeah, it's high, but man, it kind of just feels like if you're following trends, it does feel like, this game could hit the over again. The backups were in net last time out. I expected to be Tristan Jarry, Igor Shesterkin, who hasn't looked all that great to start the season, but there's a couple guys here that, I think this is a sneaky game from a DK standpoint. I really do. I'm looking across the board, and I think that we could get some unders here tonight. And, there's a few more games that we'll touch on, but Montreal, Vancouver, I think a lot of people will maybe, attack that game from a DFS standpoint. Calgary, Winnipeg has some potential as well. But Pittsburgh Rangers, a game maybe that may get overlooked, right? When we're looking at some players on both sides, like Mika Zibanejad. Is this guy going to show up here soon? What's going on? He's got 11 shots in his past 3 games, 3+ and 5 of 6, 2 points on the season. I think he's somebody that is on the cusp of breaking out. Like, he's too good. And just taking a look at the last time that these two teams played, looking at the 5-on-5 numbers, according to Natural Stat Trick, like Zibanejad was moved all over the place. Like, they're trying to get him going. He didn't play a whole lot with Panarin in the second half of last season. On the power play, those two are together. But last game, they played 4 minutes of 5-on-5 together, right? I mean, they played 6 minutes, started the game with Buchnevich on the line and Alexis Lafreniere. And then he switched, they switched things up and they put Panarin on the line with Zibanejad. So maybe that's just trying to get Zibanejad going. I would take a shot on him tonight in DK if you're playing multiple lineups. I think maybe just to get a little bit different. I like the Penguins to win the game. Like I said, they've won 3 straight against the Rangers. New York is just they got some issues on the blue line, the back end. They got lots going on with D'Angelo too, which is a bit of a surprise that he was placed on waivers. But don't want to get into that too much. But they got some issues, New York, on the back end, and they're not totally the offense is not totally there yet. So I don't know, man. I'm going to lean Pittsburgh. I'm going to lean Penguins. But I think if you're playing DK like Zibanejad, and from a season-long standpoint, this is someone I'm interested in acquiring. I like 2 points, Eric. We love this guy. He's going to pick it up.
Yeah, I think like players like Zibanejad, I mean, you got to think about this, take this part of the narrative. Narrative is the thing that, look, I know a lot of like professional gamblers and people that are really, really good at fantasy. They just follow the number trends and the percentages. And the truth is narrative shouldn't come into play, but I think it's a big part of it because these guys are human beings. This is probably like this off time is probably the longest Zibanejad's gone in his entire life without competitive hockey. And some guys, it's just going to take time to ramp up. Some people, came in fresh and were good right away. Some star players, Malkin, Zibanejad, a bunch of guys. I mean, Nazem Kadri was a guy that looked like, the first couple games, it looks like he forgot how to play. And now he's kind of back to being Nazem Kadri. So that's something to take into consideration. It's a weird kind of push and pull with season long where it's like, do I drop these guys because the season's short? I ain't got time to wait. And also, I mean, this is technically training camp just ended for these guys is how I've been looking at it. Like now they're kind of up to game speed. They're still not practicing as much as they would. They had a very shortened training season. So defensive structure, I think we're seeing that for sure in a lot of high scoring games. Like I can't remember it ever being like this many points being scored in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, no preseason, right? But yeah, just again, back to that 5-on-5. I mean, Crosby, Russ, and Gensel were by far the best line on the ice for either team. They played 11:58 together at, even strength. They put 18 pucks towards the net, 7 against. The shots for were 12-4 in favor of that line. And there's a reason why Lafreniere and Zibanejad and Buchnevich got, split up. They played 633 together. They put 1 puck towards the net, 11 against, 0 shots for, 8 shots against, 0 high dangers chances for, 4 against, 1 scoring chance, and 7 against. So struggling defensively, to say the least.
Shuffle them up.
Shuffle them up, right? Let's mix them up. Again, DK, we'll get to the top of the board in a little bit, but if you are playing multiple lineups, I mean, Stucker at 3-3 is really interesting to me. Is a guy who I'm not crazy about him, but he's shown lately it's been a little bit better for him and Malkin, and Kapanen's only 3-1. So as one-offs, potentially, I'm not saying to get involved with Malkin, but 5-6 on DraftKings. I don't know, Eric, if I've ever seen him that cheap, but we'll move on. Actually, there is one more note I have for this game. Keep an eye on Chris Letang. If he can't go, John Marino is a guy that's going to get a lot of ice time. Pierre Oliver, Joseph, POJ, I like to call him. Both of these guys played 25 plus minutes in Saturday's game when Letang left early. We have John Marino is probably going to get a little bit more power play time, but POJ is also going to get that power play time. He had 3 assists in that game. He's got 4 points on the season. So both of these guys, very affordable if you're looking to punt the defense position. You're in deeper formats. If Letang misses any time, they're already thin on the blue line as it is. These guys are going to get a big jump in usage rate. I got Russ first goal plus 1,300, just taking a shot here. He's playing with Sid. That's the line that I would attack from a shot prop standpoint. I don't know, Maddie, if you've taken a look, but I don't see anything that I really love here. Crosby, 2.5 minus 125 is not something I'd like. He's not usually a guy I want to get involved with. He's right around that 2-3 shots. Any given night, this guy could have 5 or 6 shots, but he is still a pass first guy. Panarin, pass first guy. Zibanejad is 3.5 plus 100. It's a little high for my liking, but as I mentioned, he has 11 shots in his past 3 games and 3+ in 5 of 6. Was there anything, Maddie, that stood out to you in the shot props there for this game?
The only thing I'd probably include is Crosby in a parlay, and that's about it. The rest of it I don't really like. Brian Rust has been super hit or miss for me with shot props. Like you said, Panarin, pass first guy. Adam Fox at 2.5 is one that I think I might take a look at, because like you said, the Rangers, they're in shambles on the blue end. Don't want to get into it like you said, but I have a feeling that the Rangers' mantra is going to be just fire the puck as soon as you get it, because if Tristan Jarry starts, then you want to get pucks on him real quick.
Yeah, no doubt. Fox is great. I've not seen it on DraftKings, but you could probably see that maybe on one of your books. That's one that I would take for sure. And in other DFS sites, he's fairly cheap. DraftKings is on point with his pricing. He's expensive, but he's real good. Kreider's a guy I would think about 2.5, but I don't think we really need to go there. You know, these are decent options, but we'll move on. The next game. Let's talk about your Preds. Why not? Nashville? Tampa?
Yeah.
All right. Pacioretty started last time. Looked okay. I expect Saros to get the call tonight. I thought that this game would go under. I was originally thinking under, and the 5-on-5 numbers between the two teams, it was tight. There were a lot of power play goals scored in this game. 4. It was a 4-3 win for the Bolts on Saturday. As I mentioned, Rene, man, it's too bad what's happened to him over the past couple of years. It just doesn't look like he has it anymore. Buddy. Yeah. Bounce back for the Preds?
I mean, they played them pretty tight. You mean, like, I think on paper, there's not many teams that can even stack up or look like they can compete with Tampa, and that's without Kucherov. They're still unbelievable, like so deep. They got guys that can score on every line. Vasilevsky's probably the best goalie, if not top 3 for sure.
And he's played every game. Is he going to get a rest?
We talked about, I think this during the first show, is I expected a lot of the starters to play several of the games. And it was kind of like a chicken match between coaches, like who's going to start their backup first because of the shortened season. You know, you can't afford to lose games, and you can't afford to lose 2 or 3 games in a row. It puts you so far behind, and with a lot of these games being worth 4 points, it's going to be hard to dig your way out. You mean, like, the standings are going to be kind of as is all year. I think the end of this year is going to be really, really interesting because of the shortened season and everyone trying to stay competitive and knowing that, like, you just got to stay within range and then kind of, push the pedal at the end of the year, maybe except for the Ottawa Senators. But yeah, I mean, I believe that the Preds can bounce back here. I mean, they played them really tight. It's a 1-goal difference in that game. I don't know about a 5.5 over there. Like, I think it's probably lower. I think I'd go under there, but yeah. I mean, the Preds could definitely pull off a win here.
Yeah, the Lightning are minus 175 favorites tonight, plus 145. You know, if you're into Nashville, I think under is the play. Now, if Vasilevsky isn't starting and for whatever reason Rene is in net again, I don't really think that he will be. And I'm looking ahead at Tampa Bay's schedule here. They got Detroit twice this week, so that could be, an off night for Vasilevsky. Maybe he'll sit in one of those games. I'm going to lean with the under. I think the Bolts win. I think they're the better team, but you're right. I mean, it's going to be tight. And again, looking at the 5-5 numbers, I was just watching that game and there wasn't a lot there. So I think the initial feeling that I had with the under was the correct call. But until Rene got in, as soon as he was named starter, I just immediately it's a bit of a pushback for me. I just don't want a piece of it. But there are a couple props that I like in here. Braden Point, 2.5 shots. He's been over 2.5 in 5 of his 6 games. He's minus 125. He's just getting a lot of ice time. He's shooting the puck a ton. It's much like McKinnon. Like, he's so fast from end to end that 1 or 2 of his shots per game is usually just on the rush, right? And you see that from McKinnon a lot. He can take it end to end. He'll cruise into the opposing zone and he'll fire a puck on net. And that's one shot that you're banking on already. And then they get some power play time and he's good to go. I would rather Point at minus 125 over 2.5 than Stamkos over 2.5 minus 161. That's juiced up a little high. I still like it. If it gets up to minus 170, 175, it's something that I'd probably stay away from or put it into a parlay. But he's been over 2.5 in 4 of his 6 games. I just have a little bit more confidence in Braden Point. But I do like Stamkos overall. I would take a shot on him first goal plus 900, 9-1. I think that's pretty decent odds for him. Anything else in this game before we move on?
Oh, I think we can move on.
Yeah, you want to move on? You know, Pekka not going to get the start, eh? That's it. No more starts for him.
Well,
all right. We'll see him again. This one's interesting. Boston, Washington. We got the Caps home dogs tonight, plus 118. Boston minus 137. The Caps are 8-1 against the spread. Boston 2-6. The total here 5.5. We had the return of David Pastrnak in the last game and the return of Alexander Ovechkin in the last game, and he scored the overtime winner. He had a goal, 2 points, 3 shots, 5 hits, looking like the Ovi stat line that we love so much. But Boston really just dominated this game. Again, 5-on-5 numbers. This Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand line. I know I'm not telling you, I'm not breaking any news with either of you guys. Maddie knows, a lot of our viewers, listeners probably know this as well. This line is crazy good. They played 11:52 together, 5-on-5 against the Caps on Saturday. 17 shot attempts, 8 against, 10 scoring chances, 5 high danger chances. Even the Krejci-Ritchie line was dominant 5-on-5 as well. Pastrnak played 20 minutes in the game. He had 5 shots, 1 assist. His shot prop tonight is 3.5. This is something I will always take. He averaged 4 shots per game last season. He's a volume shooter. He loves to shoot the puck. And like I said, that line 5-on-5, they just dominate when they get on there, and they have one of the game's best power plays. And Richie's been on that power play. I like him on DraftKings. I think he's a borderline pickup in season-long leagues. He's stuck on that first unit with the return of Pastrnak. He's kind of a trigger man on there. He's scoring lately. What he's doing is not sustainable, Eric. Like, the shooting percentage is high. He can help you out in banger leagues. He does a little bit of that as well. But, he's been a guy that has played with high talented players before in the past, and he's hit double-digit goals before in the past as well. It's not a guy that I think is going to get 20, 25 goals this year, but I think already on his way to 10 to 15, and he's going to get an opportunity with those big boys in the power play. Why not take a look at him? But I thought originally Washington potentially at home for home dogs here, but they're still thin. I don't know if Kuznetsov's going to return. If Kuznetsov returns, I'm sure the line will change, and then I can get behind Washington a little bit. But that second line with Ovechkin, TJ Oshie, and Richard Panik, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like the Ovechkin, it's good to see him back and that he hasn't missed a step. Still doing it, still throwing the body around, still repping the puck. But until Kuznetsov comes back, I mean, he's kind of, to me, he's the linchpin, right? Like, he kind of solidifies that lineup into what we think the Washington Capitals can be. And with Panik playing in that position, yeah, I'm not a believer at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking for news right now. There's nothing. We're recording early on Monday, so just keep an eye on things there. I just like the Bruins, and they've just been so tight. They've been playing in the under. 5 of 8 been in the under, but they got points in every game but one this season. I know they lost that game, but I think it was just bad luck. I really thought that they played a strong game. We'll probably see Tuukka Rask back between the pipes. So I lean Boston right there too, but I wouldn't hate anybody if they wanted to take a shot on Washington being home dogs. The Bruins pick is not my favorite, but I really like Pasternak over 3.5 and plus 800 for the first goal. Next up, let's take a look at the Canadians. We got Vancouver and Montreal here on the board tonight. Bell Center. Maddie, look at that board. My goodness, the Cup banners up at the top.
I wanted to troll you so badly and just put a picture of Carlton the Bear or something behind it. Came so close.
I'm so glad you got all those Cup banners up top. The Bell Center looks like it's rocking. The Habs 6-2 against the spread. Vancouver 6-5, minus 162. Heavy favorites here tonight. Puck, the total's at 6. Vancouver's played a little bit better lately. Demko especially, Eric. Right?
Yeah.
It did take long for him to take Braden Holtby's job. At least, I think he has the starting net for now. I would expect him to start tonight, but this is first of 2 straight between these two teams. By the way, the Penguins will also play tomorrow, not against the Rangers, but the Habs in Vancouver, the Canucks, they'll play tonight and they'll play tomorrow. Demko, 3 straight starts, 1 goal allowed. He stopped 100 of the last 103 shots he's faced. But again, he played the Sens in there twice. What do you make of this matchup tonight between these two teams? I expect Price to be back in the net for the Habs.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's hard for me, and I know this will make you happy. It's hard for me to pick against the Montreal Canadiens. But Vancouver, it seems like they're starting to get right. I think Pettersson is starting to find his stride. We were talking earlier saying, no one's hit the post more than him. He's going to become, Elias Pettersson at some point. I think this is the start of his resurgence. For sure. I mean, if you're in season long, going after him in a trade, I think would be a really good idea. If you could get him away from somebody for someone of, equal or lesser value. But with that game, I think Montreal wins it. What was the over under?
6. Which is tempting because these teams played each other 3 times last week. Yeah. Montreal scored 17 goals in 3 games, and both teams combined for 28 goals. Like there was a lot of offense. Demko, I believe, only played 1 of those.
Yeah, that's the difference. I think Demko is hot right now. So I think my gut is telling me to go under. I think with the goaltending Montreal side and Demko, on this kind of like really good streak, stopping a bunch of rubber right now, they're going to play him. I believe that, and I would go under there.
Yeah, I can get behind the under too. I was on the Flames on Saturday. I thought it was only a matter of time, but really it was Markstrom who was the difference in that game. The Habs had 50 scoring chances. That's not false. That was 50. And he had 22 high danger chances, Markstrom. He played really good.
He's everything that they've been looking for, right? Like, they nailed it for sure. I don't, I think in the end, they're going to might regret that contract, but right now they're patting themselves on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a strong goalie. I like the Flames. I love their defense. I think they probably have the best defense in the North. Like it's very strong, but we'll get to that game in a little bit. I do like the Habs to bounce back and get a W. Keep an eye on Josh Anderson. If he doesn't play, I think Tyler Toffoli jumps up on that second line. He's already playing with Suzuki and Duran, and they're together on the power play, so it really correlates well. It's tough to find a Habs line. In my opinion, it's like the Blues, right? They roll 4 lines. It's really tough to go in on a team and figure out which players. Is it going to be the Kotkaniemi line with Toffoli? Is it going to be Suzuki and Anderson and Duran? Is it going to be Tatar Gallagher? But and none of them, they don't all correlate together on the power play. But if Anderson is out, then Toffoli is on that line and they're on the first power play unit. That would be the line I would attack. And on the Vancouver side, I like that Pettersson call by you. He's starting to show up a little bit lately. He's been better. He's playing with the 2 guys that I want him to play with, and Brock Besser and JT Miller, Quinn Hughes. You know what? I'm talking myself into the over here. Like, I just feel like what we saw last week with those 3 games, it was just high tempo. The Canucks have allowed so much rubber. 5-on-5 chances, scoring chances. It's, among the leaders in every single category. So I like shot props here. I'm looking for Toffoli on DraftKings. I'm not seeing it. Could pop up a little bit later. I would take the over 2.5. That's the only hab that I would get involved with. Maybe Gallagher at 3.5, but it's a little high. But I like Brock Besser 2.5 here on DraftKings Sportsbook. He had 7 shots in his last game, 13 in his past 3. He's the shooter on the power play. It's Pettersson and Quinn Hughes looking for Besser, looking for Bo Horvat. Those are the shooters on the, on the power play, and those are the shooters on the line. JT Miller is a bit of a pass first guy too, but Pettersson 2.5 is plus money, 130, 3+ shots in 3 of his past 4 games. Mentioned him hitting the bar a ton. First goal, Nick Suzuki plus 17 or 17 to 1 rather. I like that one as a bit of a long shot. Matt, do you have a feel on this game?
This is the tough one for me because I want to go against you every single time because it's just fun for me. But the news is that Price is confirmed as the starter. I don't know if I like any part of this over-under here, but I do really like your Toffoli call if he does pop up there. I'm a big fan of the Besser one. If I'm doing shot prop parlays, I'm going to throw Toffoli in there instead of Besser. But I think I'm just going to take the Canadians on the money line straight up.
Yeah, why not? Just
play it safe.
Just play it safe until they have a bad game. But the Canucks are starting to slowly turn the corner. But Eric, I just don't think that they have the personnel in the back end, right? It's just, I love Quinn Hughes. I don't want to take shots on his defensive game, but he's still growing as a player. Nate Smith is fine. Tyler Myers, these guys are fine, but there's still just so many holes, and it's really just showing up. All the numbers just point to the Canadians having a lot of success again, 5-on-5. One more game to get to, Calgary and Winnipeg. We got the win from Calgary in the last game. Well, I say I'm not part of the Flames at all, but they looked good. They looked better. They had the closed door meeting. You buy into the narratives, athlete yourself. Anytime a team has that closed door meeting, I think you need to just keep an eye on them, right? They were struggling out of the gate, but they're a team they're much better than what they've shown us so far this season, I think.
Yeah, it's a wake up call. You know what I mean? Like, as an NHL player and, a person that's, training in the off season, and it's kind of Groundhog Day, and, you're playing and, you're giving effort, and your players around you are playing, you're playing games. Right now you're playing so many games close back to back. And in this short and condensed season, like, it could get away from you really quick. I believe that. So, having a closed door meeting, just the players in there, and they're just saying like, we're better than this. It could be a wake up call. And I think we saw that already. That's not something that will stay with them for the whole season, but I think the Flames are better than they've shown. I still had them out of the playoffs, which I think I'm going to probably regret. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the narrative is that. So this is another game that's really hard to pick, man. It's so even.
I know this is one, honestly, I will probably stay away from. My gut says Flames and the under. I just think Markstrom is a really good goalie, and maybe that was just it, right? He had the night off the first time that they played the Habs. It was Dave Riddick, and then they went back to him, and he had the shutout. As I mentioned, he was phenomenal in that game. Johnny Gaudreau has a point in every single game. He's not a volume shooter, so I don't really love the shot prop on him. The guys that I do like here, I mean, Connor's 3.5 plus 135. I know that seems a little bit high, but I like the adjustments here with the lines. Man, if I could find Andrew Kopp anywhere, this is the guy for me. When I asked you, like, who's the guy that you're picking up everywhere, I know we talked a lot about him. I think in every
say it, but I already have him in most places.
Right. But he is still available in leagues, and he was all over the ice the last time, man. He's blocking shots. He's on the PKs on the power play. He's putting pucks on net, and now he's playing with Scheifele, who I believe is a pass first guy, and Ehlers. So those are the two. That's the line that I really like. But on that second line, Stastny and Wheeler, pass first guy, give it over to Connor with the shots. And with Ehlers and Kopp, like, those are the three I'm interested from the Winnipeg side of things. But I don't think we can ignore Johnny Gaudreau. I'm not saying to take the shot prop. Over 2.5 minus 155 is not going to cut it for me. I don't actually like it a lot. I'm not seeing Matthew Tkachuk here. That's one that I usually can get behind. Matthew Tkachuk loves to shoot the puck. That may surface on DraftKings a little bit later on. Just check your book. You could see Matthew Tkachuk 2.5, but I'm going to side with the Flames here. I think the Flames are more sound. I think defensively they're better. And I think they, nothing on Hellebuck, but I think they have the better goalie. I just think that I think overall they're just a better hockey team. But this is a tough one, man. Calgary and Winnipeg it's basically a coin flip, and Vegas is telling us that. We know minus 103 for Winnipeg, minus 114 for Calgary. Both of these teams solid against the spread. 6-2 for the Jets, 5-2 for the Flames. Total at 6. I'm gonna lean with Calgary. You got to pick, Eric. Calgary or Winnipeg?
Well, I'm going to go the other way because I like Andrew Kopp and Ehlers. To me, eye test, Connor looks like he might be one of the top 15 players in the league right now. He's skating unbelievably. Just looks super motivated. It looks like this could be a real breakout season for him. So I'm going to go with him. And it's hard for me to ever bet against Hellebuck.
Yeah, it is tough. First goals. Let's give a first goal in here because really with both of these goalies, we could see some offense. We're definitely going to see one. I mean, Connor 10-1 that's real nice for me.
That's my pick.
How about Kopp at 22-1, right?
I mean, especially because he's playing
good long shot.
Right?
Yeah. Good long shot. This guy's putting pucks on net like every single game. He has like 5 or 6.
Those numbers will catch up eventually, right? But these are, you'll listen to shows like this and you pay attention to things, people that are in the know, like his betting odds and stuff like that haven't caught up to the player that he is right now. So, that's hammer him as much as he can.
Yeah, 22-1 like that one, like Russ at 13-1. I'm just going to keep things simple with some of the other games. Suzuki 17-1, I mentioned first goal. Like these are tough to hit, guys. I wouldn't be putting full units on. I mean, you can. If you're a high roller, I'm all about that. But I mean, maybe 0.25 and it'll set up your week. Hopefully get yourself a bit of a bankroll. But I would take Pasternak at 8-1 for first goal, just as I mentioned, just a volume shooter there. And then Stamkos 9-1 I like as well. Let's hit over to DraftKings and just see where maybe the goals are going to come from here, Eric, tonight. I'll give you the top centers on the board and tell me who you like the most. We got Patrice Bergeron at 7-8, Mark Scheifele 7-2, Braden Point 7, Crosby 6-9, Mika Zibanejad 6-5, really dropping in price. Pettersson 6-2, Bo Horvat 6-1, Backstrom 5-8, Malkin 5-6, and Sean Monahan 5-5.
I'm going. I think Zibanejad. I'm going with the Flow Master. He's going. It's going to happen for him. He's too good of a player. The Pittsburgh goaltending has been, really, really not good. I think Jari's definitely the guy there, but I mean, it's not been good. And if them losing Chris Letang, if he doesn't play, Zibanejad, I think is the guy. He's on the ice. He's playing at the power play. I think they put him back with Panarin again. That's the guy I'm going.
Yeah, I like that call. I can get behind that one. I was thinking Bergeron. If you're going to spend up, I would go there. But I like Scheifele. I like that top line, as I mentioned, quite a bit. But Zibanejad it's the perfect tournament play. Nobody's really on him. He hasn't done a whole lot. He only has the 2 points. I could make a better case for him as opposed to Malkin. He's showing me a little bit more than Malkin, at least. I like this next range. Lindholm, Suzuki, TJ Oshie, Kuznetsov, keep an eye on him. Stastny, Cirelli, Krejci, Duchesne, Lowry, and Ryan Strome. For me, I think we could get involved with, Suzuki up at the top. If Anderson doesn't play, you can mix him up with Toffoli there. We'll get to wingers in a little bit. But Krejci is interesting to me with Nick Ritchie. Ritchie is super cheap as well. These guys are playing 5-on-5 together. Nick Ritchie is 3-5 on DK. Like that power play. Cap's a little thin. Keep an eye on Orlov. Keep an eye on Kuznetsov. Keep an eye on just all these guys who don't know if they're going to come in and out of the lineup. Justin Schultz is day-to-day. He's questionable to play here too. So the Caps could be pretty thin on the blue line, and they're not overly strong in goal, in my opinion. Is there anyone else that I didn't mention in that range that potentially you like?
I like those guys. And like you said, Krejci is such a sneaky good player. Like he's just so steady at that price. Duchesne is somebody. Look at it. I'm the Preds guy, whatever, blah blah blah. But look, I've watched every one of their games. I don't think he's, he doesn't have a ton of points and stuff to back this up, but he's been one of their best forwards. A really crafty player. He's going to get going for sure at that price. I like him too. And Suzuki, look, I've got him in almost every one of my teams season long. I've reached for him. This guy he's a star. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs last year, and I believed that was not a fluke. I believe that this is the guy, and he's proven me right so far this year. He's just, when he's on the ice, man, you know it.
Yeah. The more I think about this slate, and I went back and I was thinking under, I can't do it, guys. I'm recap the picks at the end, but Montreal Vancouver is a game to me that I just feel like is just going to be the same. There's going to be goals, right? Like Nashville, Tampa, I feel tight. Calgary, Winnipeg could be tight with those two goalies. Pittsburgh, New York, and Montreal, Vancouver. Like those are the games I think that we should attack. So Pettersson 6-2, Suzuki point in every game but 1-5-3. Get involved with those wingers. There's still some value over there. As we move over, we'll look at the top of the board here for wingers, and we'll get into some of the value. But Stamkos 7-9, Pastrnak 7-8, Marchand 7-7, Ovechkin 7-5, Connor 7K, Blake Wheeler 6-7. Yeah, I mean, a top of the board is pretty strong. Pastrnak and Marchand stand out to me, but there's value here, Eric, a little bit later down the board. Up at the top, where are you going? Where's the goals going to come from tonight? Pastrnak, Marchand?
I mean, they look unbelievable. Like you said, I mean, we're not saying anything new. I mean, they're called the perfection line for a reason. Pastrnak, I mean, the fact that he's playing wing, just coming back and played 20 minutes, I mean, and he shoots the puck a ton. I mean, yeah. That's my guy.
Yeah, I think it just makes a lot of sense to spend up for those two up at the top of the board. But as I mentioned, when we get through here, some of the other value, we got Russ to Foley. Again, strong. If Anderson doesn't play, Brock Besser, absolutely strong, 5'8". Gallagher, Goudreau point in every game. Kopp 5'5", into him. Miller into him, 5'4". Buchnevich not so much. Forsberg not into him, and Andre Palat not interested at all. So again, I think we get involved with Pittsburgh and New York, and I think we get involved with Montreal and Vancouver. That's where I believe the offense is going to come from. Kopp, I think his price is still fine, 5'5". Brock Besser, I think he's underpriced at 5'8". JT Miller, 5'4", underpriced. So this is where I'm looking for the offense. And, if you're looking down for a little bit of value, it could be had with just that second line in Pittsburgh as one-offs, like Kapanen, Ritchie in Boston, Zucker in Pittsburgh. These are guys that I think are just a little bit underpriced, still playing in a top 6 role, still getting some power play time. There's value with both of those guys. Over at the defense position, and I'll get Matt's thoughts here at the end to see who he's feeling on DK. So get prepared, Matty. Hedman, Carlson, Petrie, Fox, like the Fox call earlier. I think he's a little bit cheaper on some other sites. Quinn Hughes is a guy that I just keep playing. Why not? 5'8", he's underpriced. Yossi, 5'7", Weber, 5'6", Giordano, 5'4". Top of the board for me, if you can get involved with Fox, but it's just Quinn Hughes, Eric. Like, why not? Yep. Why not Quinn Hughes? Every single night, this guy seems to be hitting the score sheet. He's not shooting the puck a ton. He doesn't really block any shots, but that's not really what you're after. I mean, he's got 11 points in 11 games, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, at that price, I feel like that it should be almost automatic.
Yeah, and it's been automatic for me because you're getting both sides of it with the Canucks. Like, they're allowing a lot of offense. They have to push the pace and keep up offensively as well and score some points. Letang, if he doesn't play, guys, we got John Marino at 2.5. John Marino at 2.5, who played 26 minutes in his last game. Yeah, he only has the 1 point. It came in his last game against the Rangers, but he had 3 shots, 3 blocks, played 26 minutes, 23, 25, 21, 22, 26. This guy's played north of 20 minutes in every game but the first game on the season. So there's some value there at the defense position. And then another guy I wanted to bring up here, Rasmus Anderson, who's just trending up for the Flames. He's 4.8 on DraftKings, getting power play time as well. He blocked 5 shots the last time out. He's just a guy that I've noticed is really, really starting to trend up, Eric. He's a great puck mover. He's a great skater, getting that power play time, as I mentioned. He's got the 5 points, 2 goals on the season. Not afraid to shoot the puck either. So at 4.8, like, I'd rather spend down 4.8 than go Giordano 5.4. Matty, who do you like tonight on DK?
Give me Matt Duchene tonight. I think a lot of people will just look at his hockey card stats and think, oh, he's not playing well. But as EY said, he's been buzzing. I am one of the only people I think that's trying to break up that top Jofa line. Throw Duchesne up there. Give Duchesne some time with Philip Forsberg, who's carrying this Predators team right now. The Preds have a lot of problems. They have no net front presence. They puck watch all the time. Get a guy like Duchesne playing with Forsberg. Let the fans see that Duchesne can kind of play up to his contract there. Over on the defensive side of things, I like Romanov at $4,300. I want a taste of this Montreal-Vancouver game. I also don't mind taking Nate Schmidt at $39. That one doesn't bother me whatsoever. I think there's a lot of cheap plays to squeeze in the top guys today. Patrice Bergeron, I don't mind taking as my number one center. Zibanejad, I'm a big fan of that call too. And if you want to pivot off those guys, I'd really, really like Bo Horvat.
Yeah, he's a great pivot. Absolutely. And Höglander has been showing up lately too. And that's Pearson, I believe, on that second line. That's a line if you want to get a little bit different, because I think a lot of people will flock to the Pettersson line. Absolutely. And that's going to be a chalky game, Montreal, Vancouver. But I do think, just get involved with some plays there. And Horvat on that first unit, so it correlates well if you still want to get involved with some of the big boys. Yeah, but John Marino at 2.5, regardless of if Letang plays, is certainly interesting to me if you want to just spend down. At the goalie position, Eric, we don't have many goalies confirmed. We do know that Price is going to get the start. Vasilevsky, McElhinney is 8.2. I'm not going to get up there. I tend to try to spend down. Markstrom the other day was 7.2. Gibson has come down to earth a little bit, but he's been cheap as a goalie that's return profit. I'm looking, Price 8.2. Hellebuck 7.9, Markstrom 7.8, Rask 7.7. I believe he's going to get the start. Vanacek 7.6. Man, this is tough. This is tough for goaltending tonight. I think we either get involved with, and I can't do it. I can't even suggest Jari to people. It's just not one that I'm interested in. Like Rask,
too messy.
Rask, Vasilevsky, if you can get there. I know you guys may not agree, or you want to go against the grain. UC Saros 7.2. Would you do UC Saros 7.2 against the Bolts? Is that too crazy for you, Eric?
Just did it.
There's something to be said about a goalie 7.2 who may get that save bonus on DK, 35 saves. He's had 20 plus DK points in 3 of his 5 starts. And the 2 that he didn't, he absolutely ruined everything for you, -7 and 2.8. But at that price point, 7.2, I think he's the better goalie of the 2, right? We know that. And this Tampa team, yeah, they can score some goals, but, they're still not as potent without Kucherov there. Still missing a couple guys. That game was nasty, by the way. That Tampa, that first one was real nasty. There's some fights, dropping the gloves. I think Saros is interesting in tournaments, but Vasilevsky is probably the safer play. Am I wrong in thinking that?
No, I think he's the safer play, but if you're paying up in your roster and you gotta get a goalie to fit in there to have some cash left over for your utility player at the end. I literally just did my DK a lineup and I put Saros in. So I'm a believer.
You're a believer. Okay. I think it's okay to go back to Markstrom 7.8. I think that's fine, even though, we're talking up Cop and stuff like that. I think Markstrom 7.8, really good goalie, guys. What he did last game on Saturday against the Habs was not a fluke. So Markstrom is interesting. But for me, I think you're right, Maddie. Vancouver and Montreal is a game that, people should get involved with. And then that top line in Boston, just so dominant. Recap the picks. You got something for us? Records?
I do.
Better on this show?
We're making history. You went 3 for 3. You did it.
Oh,
you nailed it. The three you hit. You called the Strome over 1.5. Columbus money line, Columbus and Blackhawks under. That brings your record to 22-35. You're above 500. Here we go.
22-35.
22 out of 35. Yeah.
Oh, out of 35. Okay. I was like, man, I'm getting 35 picks wrong already.
No, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Okay, so we'll recap here. I like the Penguins and the over. I like Boston. I like Tampa. I like Montreal. And I like Calgary. But, we'll narrow it down. I can give all these picks. Like Pittsburgh and the over is one I'll lock in right now. Pittsburgh and the over, Montreal, and I'm sorry, guys. Got to go against your Preds tonight. Tampa. I wouldn't take them just straight up one pick. You got to get them involved in the money line. It's too juiced up there. Let's add one more. Why not? Feeling risky today. Flames get it done. These are the shot props, though, guys. It's really been working out for us. Hopefully you can do this. Parlay them. I would suggest parlaying them. Maybe just 2 You can get 4 if you want. Point over 2.5 minus 125. Pasternak over 3.5 minus 155. Get on that early if you can. I think it's going to get up to minus 175. I'd go as high as that. Brock Besser 2.5 minus 118. Connor 3.5 plus 135. The first goals we gave out a little bit earlier: Suzuki, Pasternak, Stamkos, Kopp. I like Kopp as a long shot there, 22-1, and Suzuki, as I mentioned, 17-1. Any final words, Eric, from you?
Oh, it's cool to be doing the show again. This is a good set, kind of set me for the week. Sometimes I miss on all my gambling picks, but that's okay. That's okay. I love to talk about this stuff and read into it and chat hockey with you boys. So this is it's a cathartic process for me to have this on Monday.
If you don't already follow Eric, you should be. What are you doing with yourself? At the Eric Young, and he will answer any hockey question that you have. And trust me, he watches all of the games. An absolute hockey psycho. Maddie, you've been red hot. Do you have some winners for us tonight?
Let me give it a quick look. See, I do like the Lightning on the money line. I almost said Predators. That would have been funny. My base parlay right now is the Lightning and Canadiens as my just core, and then I'm gonna follow suit. And I think my next tier I'll go with the Flames, and then if I'm feeling cute, I'll put the Penguins on for the next one. I don't like that Bruins and Capitals game as much as you guys do. The only thing I want out of that is maybe the puck line for Washington, and that's it.
Yeah. If Kuznetsov comes back, guys, that's enough for me to get off the Bruins. Honestly, he's when you're playing TJ Oshie, who's not a natural center, as your second line center, and panic, on the second line. I mean, there's some issues there. I'm kind of saying that lightly, right? Like Richard Panik should not be on the second line with Ovechkin. It's that's not how things should work out. So keep an eye on the whole Washington situation. There's a lot of moving pieces there. Will Schultz play? Will Letang play? Will Kuznetsov play? Who's going to be in net? Is Samsonov back? Keep an eye on all of that stuff. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out. Check out FTN Bets, FTN Daily, FTNFantasy.com. Use the promo code Mayo, Meaney, whatever works for you. Subscribe to this show. Rate, review, subscribe. If it's on iTunes, continue to give your email. You never know when Mayo is going to give away $100. Please, as he says, smash that like button on this video. Enjoy the hockey tonight. The guys will be back on Tuesday. I will see you on Wednesday. Cheers.